Remember Eromanga Sensei? The show that had anime fans everywhere from Reddit to YouTube calling it Satan Spawn and the worst show ever made? One Redditor even writes, Eromanga Sensei is awful and its baffling success is bad for anime. Is its baffling success actually bad for anime? I think this stems from a growing trend as anime has expanded and become more popular. The target audiences are somehow only becoming increasingly narrow and specific as more anime is produced. Maybe you've noticed it lately too with last season's EXO Joshi, which, oh my god. Or Winter 2020's very own Overflow. Wow. Just where are these coming from, and why is it happening? Well, there's been a suspicion I've had for a while now, so I've decided to do some digging. Those two anime happen to be manga adaptations, but the trend does not start with manga, nor is the manga the only breeding ground for these types of material. Light novels have been festering for years, but to find the source, we need to look at not just manga or light novels, but one level deeper: web novels. You may notice, along with the rise of anime production has been an increasing number of light novel adaptations, and it isn't hyperbole that a few years ago, especially light novels, have been absolutely exploding across the otaku scene. Twice as many light novels were published in 2018 than 2008, and in 2016 alone, publication increased 22%, with Yen Press publishing 1,000% more light novels in just 4 years from 2014. Behind this light novel boom itself, another boom of web novels, where many amateur novelists write stories that could not typically find themselves in contemporary mainstream publishers, and are selected by light novel publishers so that they can drag their audiences so the publishers don't even have to worry about building one from scratch. These web novelists have not only been writing, but publishing their work online for free, and building fan bases on the web of interconnectedness that is the internet. An influx of willing fan bases supporting niche and even amateur story writers with fervent loyalty has exploded across the light novel scene, which likewise has been bleeding into anime. But web novels, however, and by extension their light novels, are not always known for their quality. Some of these books are written by people who, when writing their web novel, were already at their peak, and no amount of editor's help is going to improve it. There's even a Sora News 24 article where an editor admits to having written over 200 pages of someone else's book because the original author couldn't even finish the first volume themselves. There's great information on that article, by the way, and it's dripping with insights like these, so I've left a link in the description of this video. Now, although the discourse around this phenomenon is largely negative, no one can deny the opportunity there is now for anyone to write anything and having a shot at making it. It is not that light novels or web novels are worse, it is that they're more experimental. It is that people are exposed more to every type of writing out there, and those maybe with more story making than storytelling abilities can break through on their own. To be clear, I think this is fantastic news personally. I cannot think of a childhood dream of mine more vivid than one day even the most strange and niche writings can become popular. That anime, which I saw as a medium of the strange and obtuse compared to contemporary forms of artistic expression, could actually be accepted, and that even someone like me could find other artists who get me or any of my friends and write something that no one else can. A place where weird and interesting artistic ideas can be tried and even succeed. However, this experimentality and niche fetishism has a direct conflict with popularity, since not everyone is ready to see weird, strange, or awkward writing and stories. Some of these stories might even be controversial. Some of them will garner hate, and some of them will become Eromanga Sensei. I have something to get off my chest. I liked Eromanga Sensei. I have watched literally dozens of Emoto shows, and how some people get off on calling Eromanga Sensei the worst does not know what they're talking about. There are some real bottom of the barrel Emoto shows out there. Watch Ore ga suki nano wa Emoto dakedo Emoto janai, or such clusterfucks as Akisora, or pretty much anything out there by the studio Hoods Entertainment. These shows were fucking existentially distressing, but I think although Eromanga Sensei had faults, I can test some of its hatedom it developed had more to do with the fact it was weird, and most criticisms tend to come from people who just didn't watch Emoto shows. And that's what happens when niche titles grow as anime becomes more popular. people are increasingly exposed to shows that just aren't for them. Eromanga Sensei was a show criticized not because it was the worst of the Emoto genre, but actually because it was one of the best of it, and therefore popular, and therefore a new target for poorly constructed criticism by people who frankly just weren't the show's audience. And that's okay. But there is even one writer who suggested that because he thought the show was supposed to be about Sagiri and having focused on other characters as well, it had messed up, and that somehow that was a mistake. That maybe the author didn't want to focus on just Sagiri was apparently a presupposition he did not realize he had, or that the ending was not conclusive. It's a light novel adaptation. It doesn't have to be conclusive, it only needs to be satisfying. The criticism tended to boil down to three things. They have their own personal image of what they thought it was going to be, and it wasn't. Its pandering didn't appeal to them, and that was a problem. Or they had moral quandaries about it. But whether you loved Eromanga Sensei or hated it, the common theme behind such criticisms largely stacked up to lack of understanding of the medium or its intentions, and that's fine. I don't always understand or comprehend the meaning behind other shows or why it's popular, no matter how much I make it my mission to try. What we're going to have to remember as a community is, this medium may not have things that are for everyone, and that not everything needs to be good for everyone. Hell, anime itself isn't accepted by most people. People shouldn't freak out about other stuff because anime is only becoming more diverse and crazier, and the shows you like are only growing. There will only be more of all of our favorite shows. So, why hasn't this sort of outrage happened as much lately? Well, I think people are learning to re-accept what has always been true about anime. It is a medium of experimentation, acceptance of the unpopular or uncool, and those who enjoy it. Overall, I think anime is headed in a good place. If you like a show that other people hate or criticize, engage in it, but don't be deterred to enjoy what you like. It's all one big ecosystem out here that we've built together, and it's big enough for all of us. Thank you, and spread the word.